But innovation is also happening within our own edit and our editorial, not just with brands, but what we're doing with our own content to innovate in. So what would it look like when 5G is incorporated to sit and watch an NBA game? Like, what does it look like now on our products versus what it's going to look like with 5G? When you're sitting court-side seats and LeBron's like sweating on you and you can pivot and turn around and see what everyone else in the stands are doing, like that's going to be the future of what both content looks like and advertising.
Hi, this is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Andy North. I'm joined today by Marinn Jackson, Head of Premium Sales Strategy at Oath. Marinn, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's just jump right into
Sure.
it. Tell me a little bit about Oath and what some exciting things that are going on and exciting things in the future.
Sure. Oath, if you don't know, is the brainchild of AOL and Yahoo and bought by Verizon. We're about a year and 2 months into an integration. So it's been a real time spent on joining two big technological digital first companies. And you can imagine it's been a lot of two of this and two of that and two of that, and we're really merging into one. The big news we made last week is that we have one unified ad platform called Oath Ad Platform. So it's one centralized ad server and systems for our clients to make it really easy to use. So that's a big innovation that took some time and some people and some brains to get done.
Anything coming up? You're obviously on a panel here at Adweek New York, and your panel is about wired disruption.
Yep.
How are we still talking about disruption in the digital space so many years into it, and do you see that continuing to evolve?
Oh yeah, as technology changes, you're always going to have disruption, and I think you'll see disruptors in the space constantly. You know, the players that you're spending time with today may not be the players you're spending time with tomorrow. 5G is going to be a major technological disruptor that I think everybody needs to get prepared for. People are calling it the fourth industrial revolution. And it's not just about entertainment. It's going to be a disruptor for education, for transportation, for healthcare. I mean, you should see some of the stuff we've been seeing on 5G in the healthcare space. It's unbelievable what's going to happen in that space. So disruption is going to keep happening. And so yeah, companies have to be nimble. They have to move fast. They have to stay smart. They have to bring in talent that understands the space if they're going to be competitive.
5G is an excellent point. The U.S. has been rumored to be that we're behind on 5G as it relates to the rest of the world. How do you see the U.S. either catching up or leading in that space?
I think the U.S. has always been a first mover in technology, but you have to look overseas to see what's happening in Asia and what's happening in countries like Korea to see where speed of technology is changing. But speed is part of it, latency is part of it, but innovation is going to be really part of it too. So I can speak to the space Verizon's in. They're picking 5 major cities and embedding with the mayors in those cities to really feel out like what is the need in your market to advance 5G and what do we learn from that, and then we could iterate and innovate.
It's been said that user experience is the new marketing. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's so much more than now the traditional lines of marketing. It's really become all about what happens on the back end.
I would say user experience is about personalization. That's changed. That's been a game changer. So, you look back when we were kids, what broadcast and media looked like. It was for the masses. It was all about scale. And I think marketing has changed into personalization. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for me? And again, technology has allowed us to market in a very specific, unique, one-to-one way. We know what your interests are. We know where you read. We know what movies you go to. And so we're serving media that makes sense to you. And so the expectation from consumers is that everything's going to get personalized. You can personalize your sneakers, personalize your advertising, personalize your playlist. I mean, it's endless. People want to feel like a brand is talking right to them.
In an era of data breaches and concerns about privacy,
Sure, yeah.
How do you see personalization sort of overcoming those hurdles eventually?
I mean, privacy is number one. I mean, I think any big media company, not even media, think about credit card companies, think about airlines, think about the public library. I mean, everybody should be concerned with privacy and consumers first, and I think transparency is going to be number one. You've got to tell people about their options and what they are. I think this generation is willing to give up a little bit for the benefits that come on the back end. Young people feel like they get the trade-off and understand it, but every company has dug into privacy, and it's really important to build trust with your customers.
You actually spoke to a question I was about to ask regarding the generational differences
Yeah.
between privacy and personalization. It does feel like Gen Z expects that personalization, and that is the trade-off, the ROI they get from trading their privacy, if you will. Some of the older generations aren't quite there yet.
I know. But marketers are really pivoting to Z anyway. Like that's when you think about where marketers want to go. Young people is not just a market, but it's a future market. It's a branding early. Get them a customer for a lifetime. So you think about the lifetime value of a customer. If you get them young, you'll have them much longer. So it is true, and I think, but I do think they're willing to give that trade-off. They're willing to trade information for access, and we've seen it in lots of categories.
So Oath is a combination, as you mentioned, of AOL and Verizon. Do you feel that type of scale, those types of alliances are necessary now for brands to really break through?
I mean, scale is a huge competitive advantage. I think what Oath brings to the table is not just scale, but the data as well as content. And that's sort of 3 points of a triangle that are really crucial in delivering for brands. I think scale is really important, and that's why you'll see all the consolidation that's happening in media right now. I can name, Disney, Fox, Discovery, Scripps, AT&T, Time Warner. It goes on and on and on. And even in the ad tech space, you're getting consolidation because people do need scale. We almost have so many choices, right? Marketers have the advantage of having such breadth, so many tools, and with that comes great opportunity, but it's complex. And so that's why I do think you're going to have to deliver scale. It's like a tree falls in the woods. You make great content, but nobody finds it, nobody hears it.
Exactly.
You've got to have distribution. You've got to have eyeballs for it to make a difference.
So how does a smaller brand or a smaller agency break through, given that scale is needed?
Well, I mean, there's still self-service tools that we provide that give the ability for small business, mid-sized business, small agencies to use our platform. I mean, that's really important too. But yeah, there are innovative ways to get there. And I think, again, with personalization, like just because you're a small brand, let's say you're a local florist, like you don't need to reach the whole country. You just need to reach the people within 2 miles or 3 miles, 4 miles of your storefront. So scale is relevant to the area that you're playing in, but there's lots of ways. It's just scale for your context.
Talk a little bit about innovation. I think, as you mentioned, we're constantly seeing more and more innovation, and it obviously is necessary in the digital space. It's essentially what predicated the digital space.
Yeah.
Where do you see that type of innovation leading? Are there any new technologies that excite you that you see coming within the next 3 to 5 years and really being practical in marketing?
Again, joining two big companies, you had a lot of people playing in the innovation space, a lot of people doing ad tech development, a lot of people playing in AR, VR. And my team organized something called an innovation council. And it was really corralling all these people, whether it was engineering, product, sales, marketing, into one room that we meet on a regular basis and now talk about innovation. But it's got to be innovation with the voice of the customer piped in. Like the last thing we want to do is go down a rabbit hole and create products that nobody wants and develop a market that nobody needs. So bringing the voice of the customer piped back in, what is the innovation we're looking for? And we're hearing a lot of AR, VR is still really popular. Like, wouldn't it be great to try out the couch in your living room before you made the purchase? Like, wouldn't it be great to see what that Christmas tree fits in your living room before you bought it from Home Depot? Those are the kind of innovation we're playing with, really to deliver on brands. But that's what people are really excited about. It's still a cherry on the sundae right now. It's not the vast business that we're playing in the marketplace, but we want to be on the front of that conversation. We want to bring that innovation to clients so they do think Oath first. And again, when you package in 5G, like we're really excited about where the space is going.
Do you see technologies like artificial intelligence feeding into some of the content right now? Obviously, there is just a wealth of content right now, and content marketing is the new buzzword. Are there ways to use some of those technologies to get your content in front of the right eyeballs?
Right, in front of the right eyeballs, because we are going to know what you like, what brands you interact with, what content you like, so we're serving that up to you. So your experience on our platforms is different than my experience on my platform based on interests. But I think AI will also inform where we go down the road of what new stuff we're producing. I mean, you can almost be paralyzed by all the data that's out there, right? And it's sort of a mixture of art and science, and you want to use the best of both. But AI is going to be an incredible tool for us to figure out like where to go down that road. And along with another bunch of like brand safety, AI is going to be really important for us to figure out like how do we make our sites really safe for advertisers too.
You've worked at Facebook before. How do you see the social platforms continuing to evolve, particularly as it relates to trust and building that trust? And they really do have a very central point when it comes to a lot of their users. So how do you see that evolution occurring?
Well, I saw it with Facebook. I see it with like like Reddit's doing the same thing, building communities. And so you're almost creating micro communities within your social set. So love Marvel characters or have a family member with Alzheimer's. I mean, it really can range, but what you can do when you have these platforms that are so big is that you can create these micro communities. I think that'll help them build trust. Nobody's working harder than Facebook to build trust and to fix the platform so it's safe, and they're putting a huge amount of effort and energy and dollars behind that to make it that way. Social is going to be here. It's prevalent. People like the connection. I think one-to-one connection also is going to get built up more. I think you can't dismiss what the messaging apps do and how important that is going to be in the future of commerce as well as communication.
As it comes to marketing, is digital experiences the new marketing? Is it a sum of all the various forms of marketing, or are we still relying on some of the older forms like advertising and so forth?
Well, digital is part of it, but you're creating a whole ecosystem when you're talking to a customer. And it starts at the top of the funnel. It's a cliche, but it starts at the top of the funnel. Where are you getting awareness? Where are you getting reach? Where are you getting scale? How do you move a consumer lower down? How do you activate? I think digital does a really good job in the activation space, but it also can do great in the brand building space. But there's a whole portfolio, and clients have so many tools to look at now, and they're in their toolbox to reach customers. So from the days of just, the Mad Men days where it really was, a print and a broadcast and a radio world, like think about all the luxury that marketers have to reach customers. And it's vast, but again, it's complex. And you really need to figure out what's the best way to do it. Because if you spread it too thin, you're not going to get any effect.
To your point, at last count, I think there were over something like 6,800 different MarTech companies and technologies and so forth. How are you helping your clients sort of guide through that maze of technologies?
Yeah, we're trying to simplify, and I think that the Oath ad platforms is a great first step to just simplifying media buying so it's not so complex, because it can feel that way. We want our clients to feel like it's not a complicated ecosystem and that we can deliver on technology, data, scale, and content all in one place and be one-stop shopping for them. But it is complex, and marketers, CMOs have a harder time than they've ever had to get products off the shelf. But we really need to deliver on business outcomes. We need to sell stuff. We need to get butts in seats. We need to get people on an airplane. Like, that is our job, and that's really the role that we're playing in.
Are you seeing your clients come in, your CMOs and so forth, come in much more savvy than ever before as it relates to some of those that tech stack, if you will?
Yeah, some CMOs are, for sure. And I think the role of a CMO has changed so much. She's now, she's got to know data. She's got to know targeting. She's got to know insights. And she needs to know advertising, and she needs to know her customers, and she needs to answer to the board. I mean, there's a lot of things that are the responsibility now that didn't have that job description before. So I think big data is probably the first thing you should really learn when you're a new CMO. Make sure you really understand that space.
You headed the restaurant vertical at Facebook. You're obviously familiar with a lot of people taking social photos and sharing that. Do you see that continuing to evolve? Where do you see that going?
Oh, well, I used to say people pick up their phones before they pick up their forks. I mean, nothing gets eaten before it's documented, and you should look at my husband's Instagram feed to see that. We have to wait 10 minutes before we eat anything so he can take his photos. That's a phenomenon. People want to document, people want to share. I mean, it's all about experiences. It's all about passion. Things you love, places you've been, experiences that you had. I think that continues on and on and on. I mean, food is just an example of a passion point people do want to share and talk about.
And clearly restaurants are tapping into that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In many, many ways.
It's a unique category. The franchise structure makes it even more unique. But yes, it's a great viral and organic way to promote your product.
Outstanding. Question we always ask our participants is, are there any books or podcasts that you would care to share with our viewers that you recommend?
I'm a total podcast junkie. I do a lot of political podcasts. I do a lot of true crime podcasts, like the Serials of the world. I love How You Built This. Have you ever listened to that? Entrepreneurs talking about the founder of Spanx, how she founded her company, or Ben and Jerry, how they got started. Those are great podcasts. What am I reading right now? I'm reading the biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder, Prairie Fires. And, the life on the prairie was not so easy. I'll tell you that. Covered wagons and crossing the prairies and locust storms, and it was pretty rough. So, fascinating book if you're interested in, American history.
Great. My guest today has been Marinn Jackson with Oath. Marinn, thank you so much for being here.